Hi guys, welcome back. This is Genovis again with another one of the Pokegirl series. This one is Blasti 009. Done on the Procreate with the iPencil. There's kind of an overview. You'll see that again at the end as we scroll through. And here coming up, you'll see the basic layout. This is the Procreate time lapse. I kind of had an idea in my head how I wanted the pose to be. So I wanted to go ahead and start laying the lines down. I was thinking kind of kneeling, looking to the right. Her right, not our right, and kind of tilted a little bit. So I started playing around with the line work, trying to figure out where it would look, how it would look right. I wanted one hand rested on kind of the side of the leg and one more or less on to or close to the ground. And this is of course based off the Blastoise model you'll see in the top left hand corner there. And similar to my last two, I mean, she's wearing a shell, but I wanted her to look a certain way, so I decided to go ahead and make the shell bulge where the breast will be. Y'all see that as I add it in just a minute. I may try to figure out how to make a normal shell look nice, but that's the way it is right now. Played around with some of the width there and the line work, figuring out exactly where I want the legs to be. No idea why I went with yellow as a background as I was drawing this. Again, kind of like my last video, I probably just had it selected and just went with it. Played around with the size of the blue to really get the blue lines in exactly the way I wanted them. The first sketch, I just had it at a very low setting, and then when I moved up into to kind of go over the second part of it, I went much higher. I noticed the Blastoise had more of the armor plating kind of deal on the arms and legs, so I really wanted to just capture that piece of it so that when you saw it, you'd know, oh yeah, that's Blastoise. You know, just in case you didn't know if it was the big blasters off of his back that I added in a little bit. Did a lot better on the sizing of the shell on this one. Again, I probably would have went a little bit longer next time I do it. Just looking back, I kind of see that now, that really the shell should have come down a little bit further. I'll just know that if I never have to do it again. If I ever have to do it again. Then I was thinking about the background. I did something similar as the last background. I was thinking, well, in this one, again, water type Pokemon, let's go for kind of a beach theme. So unlike some of my other ones, I actually had an idea of the exact kind of background I wanted in this one. You'll see me kind of just sketch it in with some of the blue pencil again. Just throw some water lines in there again. I'm not going into the big water effects yet. I gotta learn how to do that stuff on the iPad. So I was thinking a circle, sun behind her. All I did was put it on the other layer, erase behind it, then I decided to blow it up to kind of fit the page. And now I'm going to go in and start doing some of the actual pencil work. You'll see me play around with a couple faces here. Again, what I absolutely love about the iPad and Procreate and the iPencil is how easily you can just fix errors, change things. You can make stuff on different layers and just delete them all together if you end up not liking them. Huge time saver when you're trying to look at stuff like that. You know, all my traditional work, if I mess something up, you know, it took more time than to fix it than I wanted. Then I was playing around with different line weights, line sizes, different pencils, different colors. Of course, looking back now, the pencils that I use now in my artwork are quite a bit different. Here I was still using the technical pencil. Now I use the HB pencil. And it just gives more of a pencil feel to me. Now some people love the technical pencil and change the size of it. I don't know, it doesn't look the way I want my stuff to look. Theirs looks great, but I eventually found what I like on mine. Just putting some of the basic hairlines in. Again, I had a pretty much overall picture in my head of exactly how I wanted this to end up at this point, unlike a lot of my other pieces where it just kind of goes as it goes. Man, time-lapse makes this look so slow. I don't draw this slow, guys. I just slowed it down so we can actually make a video and talk about it a little bit. It's actually pretty quick when I get it going, because you can just sketch a layer, go on top of it, sketch another layer, make another layer, sketch it. You can get your 3 roughs done in just a few minutes and have pretty much an overall picture of exactly how you want it to look. And then the very last layer is you get your real line work laid down. That's really the only time you have to slow down, because the other ones you can just delete and move, lower the opacity, you can draw over. It doesn't matter. Trying to give the effect of kind of sectioned off arms, sectioned off legs. You'll see that because that's kind of how the Blastoise model is. I really just wanted to have that effect on it. Working the blasters in. Now as I'm looking back at these, all these are done as, you know, pose pin-ups. That's just kind of the way they are. On any of my newer pieces, I'm going to be using, I'll probably pick like their signature move and do them kind of doing that in the actual image. I feel like that would give more of an action shot per se. Even at some point I may start combining two of them when it starts to overlap. The evolutions overlap to the next Pokemon, and maybe actually have them fighting each other. Still have, you know, the Pokegirl's theme, but, you know, them doing signature shots or signature blocks or whatever at each other. I think that'd be a good shot. And also, it's not exactly less work because you still have to draw two figures, but at least you have only one background for them. Of course, I don't always do the backgrounds anyway. Sometimes it is just a pin-up. But I think that would make for interesting shots with the Pokemon versus each other, and probably some very interesting ideas coming from the moves hitting each other and back and forth. Almost kind of made her like a high-waisted pants, like the mom pants going on here with the shell, it almost looks like. But I think by the time we get to the end of it, it really shows the sectioned off pieces, and it looks a lot better. I start darkening in a little bit of plating on the legs and messed around with the hair there for a second. Kind of did the light line going through there on top of the dark just to give it some, I guess, feel for a metallic look. I think that, you know, that line kind of gives that feel, especially when you start getting colors on it. You can kind of see that line and know that, hey, there's a slight like hue reflection there kind of deal. I'm sure there's an easier way to do that, or a better way to do that on Procreate. Probably just messing with the colors and throw some effects on it. It'd probably look marvelous. I just haven't figured all that out yet. Really starting to get into the final stages of the actual figure. And gotta get up there in that right corner and start doing that other blaster here in a second. When Procreate captures its time lapse, it's really just per stroke. So every single stroke you do is trying to capture each one of them. So if I did 3 or 4 strokes on one line, just kind of get the depth I wanted, or I mean, obviously I could raise the size of the line and make one line, but it just doesn't feel the same when I'm doing it, and I think it gives a better look when I do it, you know, the way that I do it. Just the way I prefer it. There, has some shading work in to give some different texture to the shell, and there I am working in the last part of the gun. Again, you saw that quick edit there. There I just did some circles around and slow drew a circle. So you mess up a couple times. Then I said, crap on it, we're just gonna make a circle, I'll correct it later. And then you see me throwing some palm trees in, like a couple of videos ago. Didn't have to Google it this time, figured it out last time. There had some just water lines worked in, kind of just giving the effect of this is water. I'm not going too in depth on the water details. And here I am starting to add in some of the colors for it. I went with a straight blue flat. Obviously I could have did that different ways, but for this particular piece I just wanted it, you know, if I missed anything I wanted it to just reflect blue anyway, so I just did all blue to start with. And then I started on the next layer, and you'll see there I actually changed the black lines of hers after a selection piece and turned them into a dark blue, similar to how I did my last piece. Because even I wanted that color to kind of bring through. And then I went through and selected some of the pieces for the shell and the back part of the shell, and changed the colors of those to just a darker version of the blue, or excuse me, the brown that I was using, the tan for that and the brown for the back. And you'll see me play around with several different ways I did the guns. I was trying to get more of a gray metallic look to it. So I had to play around with it 2 or 3 times to figure out exactly how I wanted it to look. And I decided to go with the dark blue hair again. I just think the blue on dark blue looks good for that way. You see me messing around with bringing the blacks back. The colors on the background, I didn't really 100% sure how I know where to go with them. I just stuck some colors in and actually ended up liking the way they looked. I played around with them a little bit. And you'll see me kind of throw some kind of a shading in. I do a shading around the sun in the background. All I did was have those colors on different layers, so I was able to do that. See, I made the water a little darker, and I realized, hey, I colored my islands blue. So I have to go back in and reselect that and remove the blue that I had. It's pretty easy, just select the color of it. You select that layer, and then you go up to the other layer and just delete, and it'll only delete off that layer. So you can just pull those colors right back out of it, which I think I do here in just a second. Still messing around with the darkness of the hair and trying to get the highlights in of how it's coming around. Think about here's when I realized the islands were blue. Yep, there we go. Got those back fixed. Did just kind of a generic water background. Just threw some blue on, threw some random lines in, threw some light, little bit reflections in, did a little bit of the shadows coming off the trees, and I think that's about all I did for the background. Just kind of, I didn't really want you to look at the background too much anyway. The focus wasn't the background, the focus was her. And then I actually took a kind of battered paper, put behind it, and lowered the opacity on it, so it's going to give it a bit of texture here in a minute. And then I did a blue background and brought the yellow kind of forward in the background. You'll see all that kind of jump to light really quick, because again it just captured the brush strokes, and that was only 2 or 3 brush strokes. And here's the complete overlook of how it looked from top to bottom. You can see how I did the shine on the metallic arms and legs. That's the best way I figured out how to do it, to make it look the way that I wanted it to look. And that's it. And as always, guys, thank you. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.